Before this journey, I thought my understandings and perspectives of Nova Scotia was fair. I know that Nova Scotia is one of 3 maritime provinces, has an abundance of fisheries, is populated by friendly people, and known for its astounding beauty. However, I quickly realized that this understanding is a popular one-sided story which neglects this land's true history. On this journey, I became uneasy as my previous understandings of Nova Scotia did not incorporate the history of the land and its original peoples. The land transformed to what I once knew as Nova Scotia to Mi'kma'ki, a spiritual place of learning, living, and growing with the land, and a place home to two-eyed seeing. I became uneasy learning that my emotions, my body, my spirituality, and my intellect are all interconnected to my health and well-being. Public discourse has taught me that my intellect is what matters the most for success, but after unlearning this, I realized that success is not measured by what you know, but how you act. I became uneasy learning more about my identity as a settler. I've been taught to be a proud Canadian, causing me to grow up ignorant of our colonial wrongdoing. Now I see that this legacy continues to shape our society today by negatively portraying Indigenous peoples and their rights. I became uneasy, but now I'm becoming at ease. I developed new understandings of Mi'kmaq culture and the meaning behind being a settler. I did not understand my own responsibility as a settler for advocacy of positive change. I learned that I must use my privilege and knowledge to promote equality and show support of Indigenous peoples. I developed new understandings of land and health. My prior understanding of land and health was distinctly separate, but now I see that these concepts are interconnected with one another. I developed new understandings of hope. From all the teachers we met, they taught us not to lose faith in what you believe is right and to keep fighting for what is just. Although we live in a time of reconciliation, we must acknowledge that injustices still prevail, but that we must not lose hope. I developed new understandings, but now these understandings are starting to develop me. My eyes were open when I learned about environmental racism and discrimination in school, but seeing firsthand the environmental and societal implications was different. Boat Harbor showed me that environmental injustices continue to happen in Canada, but by taking action and having patience, eventually justice will be served. My eyes were open when I learned about residential schools, yet meeting with survivors and talking with their loved ones gave me a different understanding. Discussion of their trauma, abuse, and the systematic racism which followed took an emotional and spiritual toll on my health, as before I was taught to learn with only my intellect. My eyes were open when I realized how despite all the horrors and traumas these Indigenous people have dealt with, that their sense of community is so strong. They continue to advocate for what is right and are so willing to sharing their stories. My eyes were open, but now I can see. My perspective was limited on mental health and addiction. These common societal issues are portrayed by negative stereotypes, yet I never examined the root cause to these issues. Labeling pain as the reason for these issues exemplified my understanding and how misjudged these issues are in society today. My perspective was limited on the meaning of time. I understood time as a method of keeping on track of tasks and events in our lives, but really our construction of time dictates our lives. Because of time, we keep ourselves busy and rushing through life that we forget to enjoy life and all the time that we do have with it. My perspective was limited on the concept of patience. I confused patience with being a pushover because I thought that someone who waits so long for something to be achieved, like John Sillaboy waiting over 10 years for his desired job position, is someone who is not taking any action for change. However, I learned that patience isn't inaction, but rather action in a form which we often forget about. My perspective was limited, but now it's limitless. What I once knew is not what I know now, as what I knew before is only a partial truth. By becoming uneasy, developing new understandings, opening my eyes, and examining different perspectives, I now realize that I am only at the start of this learning journey.